I'm going to show you how to actually begin your construction of the Flower of Life. So we got a new canvas open here. I'm using 1920 by 1080. I'm only using that because that's what my desktop is set to, and I want to use this as a wallpaper when I get done with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer. So you go to Layer, New Layer, and I'm sorry for the ones that already know how to operate Photoshop. This may seem monotonous, but just bear with me. Alright, so we're going to have the new layer, and we're going to go to the Ellipse tool here, and I'm going to make sure that this checkbox right here is checked for the fixed, and we're going to go to size, which I've already got it set to, and the default size is going to be 100 by 100. I'm going to be using 200 by 200, and you'll see why. It's good to use a diameter that is divisible by 4, because you'll see, I'll explain why here in a second. So I'm using 200 so I can have 50 as a good number to work with. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is just click anywhere in your open field, and as you can see, it automatically creates a circle with a fixed size of 200 by 200 pixels. Alright, just anywhere in there. It doesn't matter about the positioning, because we're about to take care of that. Now over here, this first input box under position will move horizontally, and as you can see on the guide up here, it moves from left to right, so that's exactly the same way that this works. And on the vertical stance, it goes from the top to bottom, which is exactly how this works. So if you want to move to the right, this number needs to be higher, and if you want to move down, then this number needs to be higher, and vice versa with left and up. So what you want to do is, since my horizontal size is 1920, I know that half of that is 960. Well, if I was to enter 960, it would look something like this, and the circle's not centered. The reason why is because Gimp uses as a point of reference this top left point. Well, it's the left side and the top side together is the point. So you want to offset your positioning by exactly the radius of your circle. So since I'm using 200, I need to offset it by 100, so I can change that 9 to an 8, and that lines it up nice and perfectly there. And for this size, I'm using 1080, which is 540, so it needs to be 440, because I'm offsetting it by the radius. I'm going to change that, and now as you can see, it's nice and centered, and we're ready to start. So you've got your new layer. The first thing you want to do is, well, the next thing you want to do is right click anywhere on your circle, go to select, and then come down to selection editor. I'm going to move that over here before it's out of the way. Alright, now you want to go to this little button right here, which is the stroke tool. Okay, and as you see, you got these different settings you can do. You can change the brush and whether or not you can make a pattern. We're just going to do a solid line, and I'm going to use 1 pixel as the width. So go ahead and hit stroke. It strokes the line for you. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another layer, but, well, no, I'm not actually. I'm just going to use the same one. Forget it. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is, since we got that circle, we want to start the second circle. Well, you have to move up by the radius of the circle. So we're going to take, I'm going to edit this one right here, which is the vertical positioning. And we're going to move it up by 100. So we're going to just change that 4 to a 3, and as you can see, it moves it up. Now I got these guides set on center lines. As you can see, it really helps be able to see how everything lines up, and that really helps when you've got a lot of circles on your screen and it gets a little bit confusing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little better here. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. Go ahead and stroke that, and that creates a new circle. And as you can see, now we've got our Vesica Pisces. Now this is where the first part really comes in handy, because the next move you make the center has to move from here to here, or to here, whichever side you want to go first. So you have to know exactly how long it is from this center point to right here. And that's where our formula came in handy from the first part. So I'm going to have to do a whole new calculation because I've got a different size here, but let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so you got the diameter of the circle is 200. So, not the diameter, the radius, I'm sorry, is 100. That's what we need. So we know the hypotenuse of this line, that would be here, is 100 because it's the radius. So we're going to take 100, square that, minus half of the radius, which would be 50, squared, equals 7,500, square root that, and we get 86.7. Now this is where I said, this is where the other part comes in, to where, about Gimp not being able to do decimals. I chose 200 and 200 because it's divisible by 4, which you'll see in a second. The reason why it's divisible by 4 is so I'll have a good even number, or symmetrical number, I guess you could say, for half of my height of the Vesica Pisces, because that's a number you'll have to move by. So you don't want it to be a decimal, or things won't line up quite perfectly. Since this is 0.6, I'm going to go ahead and round up to make that 87. So 87, I'm going to need to move this selection to the left 87 pixels and down 50, because we know that this is half of the radius. The radius is 100, so this would be 50 up. So we're going to move this down 50 and over 87. Okay, so 860. I'm going to use a calculator because I'm lazy. Oops. 700 and oops, what did I do? Okay, here we go. 773. So we change that to 773 and hit tab, and as you can see, minimize that, it moves over, and this line is right on the point where the two circles meet. Alright, so now we're going to move it down by the half of the radius, which is 50. So change that to 390 and hit tab or enter, and now you can see the center point is right where the new circle needs to be, and we can go ahead and stroke that, and it creates the third circle. Alright, now the next movement is going to be to this intersection right here, the new point where the circles meet. Alright, now if you notice something, since we moved it down 50 from up here, we should just be able to move this down by twice that, by 100. And this is where the 200 by 200 really comes in handy, because having this number being divisible by 4 really helps move this along a lot quicker, because you can see that this is 100 across, and from here to here is 50, and from here to here is 50. So we're going to move this straight down 50 because it's already good left and right. Or 100, I'm sorry, 100. Moving this 100. So this would be 490. And that moves down perfectly. We can stroke that. Alright. Now we got to move to this point right here. So we're going to come down half of what we just moved, 50. And we're going to move 50 down. So again, this needs to be 50 up, so it's going to be 540. Okay. And we're going to need to move it back over to the right, 87. To get the half of the length of the Vesica Pisces. So we're going to check that. That goes back to 860. And as you can see, it's nice and lined up, quite nice. So we can go ahead and stroke that. And as you can already see, start seeing the pattern arise when you can on how you have to move it. So we're going to just keep on going here. We need to move it over and up. So over 87. So 860 plus 87. 947. Alright, now we need to come up 50. Half the radius. This is going to be 490. Yeah. Okay, and that moves up perfectly on these two on this point. And go ahead and make a line. All right, now we're to the point to where we were over here, to where all we had to do was move down 100, or the 1 radii. So on this side, we're going to move up 1 radii. I'm going to change this from 490 to 390. And this creates the last circle in the seed of life, the very first image created.